And that's where I really started to learn about the physiology of the nervous system, therefore the physiology of anxiety. When I learned what anxiety was, I began to see and understand what I could do to take back control of my nervous system and my mind. I feel like I owe you guys a bit of a life update. I wrapped up 2022 with a whole big series about goal setting. Then I kind of disappeared. And I got a lot of messages from people like, hey, we're really excited for you and your channel. What happened? Like, where did you go? Where are your videos? We want you to grow your channel. We want to see more stuff. So I feel like I need to share a bit of an explanation. I didn't know it at the time, but going into 2023, I had developed really severe anemia due to an underlying female medical issue. And I just started feeling more and more tired and exhausted. But I kept telling myself it was because I'm chasing a toddler around, because I'm a mom, because I'm busy, because I work, because like all these excuses that we give ourselves. So I got on some iron supplements, and throughout the summer I thought, okay, I'm treating this, I'm taking iron every day, things are getting better. Except I didn't feel any better, and I actually started to feel worse. I started developing heart palpitations, which kind of leads me into this piece about anxiety. But I started getting heart palpitations almost all day, every day. And I went to a different specialist. And it turns out that the iron supplementation I was doing was completely ineffective. My hematologist put me on 5 rounds of IV iron infusions. I was so anemic that I needed to be taking IV infusions. Here we are, an entire year later, and I'm feeling much more like myself, and my stuff is now managed. It's not totally resolved, but it's managed. And yeah, I'm just excited to be back. I want to share the stuff that God puts on my heart and connect with you, because I think at the end of the day, the coolest thing about this platform is that we're real people connecting with each other over shared experiences. So with that, I hope you enjoy today's video. Okay, so I thought it would be really interesting to talk about anxiety. We just started a new year. You know, I assume if you're following my channel, you probably set some goals for the new year, and probably some of those goals are around wellness, whether it's like your physical being, your mental wellness. And a lot of us struggle with anxiety. Not enough people talk about it. People are talking about it more and more, which is great, but there's more conversations that can be had. So if one of your goals this year is to find more peace and calm, manage your anxiety, hopefully what I share with you today might be a helpful tool in your toolbox. Of course, I'm not a doctor, but these are things that I have done to manage anxiety and get my anxiety under control. So as a bit of a background, I struggled with anxiety and panic attacks and intrusive thoughts for much of middle school, a good bit of high school, and then again in my early 20s. I didn't really understand what it was or realize that it was a thing, that it was like anxiety, until I was 23 and I found myself in a doctor's office. She diagnosed me with generalized anxiety disorder. All of those fears and intrusive thoughts and panic attacks that I had had and managed for so much of my life controlled so much of my life. It controlled decisions I made. It controlled things I said and did. It controlled relationships. I mean, if you have been there, you understand how you tried to dance around those intrusive thoughts or dance around the panic attacks, thinking you can manage them that way. And I just want to share with you today a little bit of hope and some tools that have really helped me heal. So at 23, in that doctor's office, and she prescribed me medication. Now, I am a very stubborn person. I am I'll figure it out on my own kind of person. So while I'm not recommending this to anyone, I felt in my particular case that there were things that I could do, non-medicalized things that I could try first as tools to manage my anxiety before I went on medication. It was just something personal that I wanted to do. Now, of course, it needs to be said, there is nothing wrong with medication. It is the right choice for a lot of people. It's the right choice for different seasons of life. But for me, this is just my story, so take that for what it's worth. So from 23 to 25, my anxiety was still pretty bad. It was still rather out of control. I was experiencing a lot of transition in my life. I had just gotten married. I moved to a different state where I didn't know a lot of people. I had a really hard time finding a job. So I was sort of like living in the middle of nowhere, feeling very unsuccessful, while it felt like the rest of the world was kind of carrying on without me and people were doing cool things out of college, and maybe you can relate to that. So I really struggled for a bit, and I actually started having full-blown panic attacks a lot more frequently. And that's kind of when I realized I have to do something. I have to take action if I want to get better, if I want this to change, if I want to feel healthier, if I want to stop having panic attacks, if I want to stop feeling controlled by intrusive thoughts. For me, the beginning of that was yoga. I just kind of felt like maybe there was something there for me. I just started doing a little bit more yoga at home and visiting some local yoga studios here and there to take some classes. By 25, I enrolled in yoga teacher training. And that's where I really started to learn about the physiology of the body and the physiology of the nervous system. Therefore, the physiology of anxiety. What anxiety actually is in your body. When I learned what anxiety was, I began to see and understand what I could do to take back control of my nervous system and my mind. So I want to share with you today the things that I learned. Before I jump into the actual things that I do and don't do, I need to share this bit about the physiology of anxiety so that you understand what anxiety is and does to your body. Because it's not until you understand that you'll begin to put some space between you and anxiety and see in your own life the things and habits and triggers that you can change. Your body, you have your nervous system, your autonomic nervous system. It controls everything from your heartbeat to involuntary breathing and everything in between. The autonomic nervous system is generally divided into 3 different functions or categories. Your sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic, and enteric. Enteric controls digestion and gastrointestinal functions, and we're going to be talking about sympathetic and parasympathetic for right now. You've probably heard those words before. Sympathetic is your fight, flight, or freeze response. Parasympathetic is rest and digest. Everything's good, we're relaxed, we're calm, we're healing. Here's the kicker, your body needs both of these things. They're both healthy for you, and let me explain why. Say you're out for a walk in the woods and it's a beautiful day and the sun is shining and there's a rainbow and you're feeling good and relaxed and you're like in your flow state, everything's cool. And then a bear jumps out at you and suddenly your heart is pounding and you tense up and you run really fast or you like freeze, whatever it is that you respond to. That is your sympathetic mode taking over. Maybe at this very moment, just seeing me do that makes your heart pound. Check in for a sec. Can you feel that? Because I can feel that. That is your sympathetic mode, jumping in to help you survive. That is good. It's normal. When your body is in a sympathetic response or a stress response, you feel tight and tense, your heart is pounding, your breath is like, right? Because you are ready to react. That is your body's stress response. The stress response is good. You need it. We've evolved with it to help us survive. But here's the thing. When that moment of stress passes and the bear turns a different way and walks away and leaves you alone, your body shifts back to the parasympathetic state. Rest, digest, relaxation, calm, safety, healing. It's the parasympathetic mode where healing happens. Keep that in your mind. It's the parasympathetic mode where healing happens. Here is the kicker though. Our bodies do not discriminate between stressors. Our bodies have the same stress response, whether it is a bear chasing you in the woods or it's that email from your boss landing in your inbox. In our modern day life, we experience those stressors, that bear jumping out of us at us, almost constantly. It's with every ding of your inbox, every whiplash of social media scrolling, every time you check the news, every late night phone call. It gives you that stress response. It's the same feeling as walking down the stairs and missing a step. And you almost fall, but you catch yourself. Your body is doing the same thing in all those modes. Throughout the day, you're in the sympathetic mode, the stress mode, so much that your heart rate and your blood pressure is elevated. Your digestion is slowed down. Your muscles are tense. Your breath is shallow and rapid. You're in this defensive mode. most of the day. Our bodies are designed to be dominant in parasympathetic, not in sympathetic. We need both, yes, but we should be dominant in parasympathetic. Your body doesn't have a chance to recover, a chance to shift into the parasympathetic mode. So how do we do that in our modern day? How do we access the calm parasympathetic mode more frequently? Learning all of this was the key to unlocking anxiety for me personally. It was the key to tuning into the stressors in life. And now, of course, we cannot eliminate all the stressors. That's unrealistic and maybe even irresponsible. But there are some things I did that really shifted the amount of stress I experienced. It created more margin for me to shift into parasympathetic mode. It created opportunity for healing for myself. Lowering my stress response on a daily basis played a huge part in my healing journey. So I'm gonna share with you some of the major things I did, the major shifts I made in my life that have been impactful. And as I do that, I want you to think about the things in your life that make your heart pound, that make you hold your breath without even realizing it, that cause stress in your life, because it'll be different for you as it is for me. We all have different life experiences. Those are the things that you need to tune into. Awareness is the first step to making these adjustments. So here we go. The first major shift I made in my life is I stopped watching any sort of thriller, suspense, horror, movies, TV shows, anything like that. The final straw for me was my husband and I would have friends over to watch The Walking Dead, and we would often watch, I think, Homeland right afterwards, and I found myself like literally having a panic attack or on the verge of a panic attack. And when I realized that those shows made me afraid, they made me hold my breath. They made me like, what's gonna happen? Jump out, like feel defensive, because the shows are so good at putting you in that experience. That's kind of the incredible thing about cinema, but it was unhealthy for me. These things really ramped up my nervous system and put me in a stress response. I didn't sleep well afterwards. I couldn't get these horrible situations out of my head. It kind of invited the intrusive thoughts and the what ifs. So I had to put a hard boundary there. I had to say, no, I no longer can watch scary movies, scary TV shows, suspense, thrillers, anything like that. I'm sorry, maybe it makes me lame, but it's healthier for me. It was the right healthy choice for me. So if there is like a movie or a show or something that you watch that afterwards you feel like you have to watch a happy show or a comedy or anything to kind of like make you relax from it, kind of bring you back to a better state, that's a really good indication that you should probably stop watching that show. All right, number 2, as I mentioned earlier, I started doing yoga. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy, but I just started a very simple yoga practice. That is what helped me to learn how to be in the present moment. It helped me to exercise my present muscle. No longer was I allowing my thoughts to spin out. I was reminded, invited to be in this moment, because there's nothing else I can control or do outside of the moment that I'm in right now. So that was sort of like a way for me to practice that presence. I know it sounds very lame and cliche, but it's true. So if you haven't tried yoga, give it a shot. Number 3, I now take in the news at a filtered cadence. And let me explain something. You know, we're all familiar with the 24-hour news cycle. For 6 years, I worked in one specific office where in the lobby of the building, they were like TVs in the elevator bank. And one of them always had CNN on. Not to discriminate against any channel or whatever, but like that just happened to be what was always playing. And I noticed for 6 years, 24/7 this was playing, any time of the day or night, there was always a red ticker at the bottom. Something was always urgent. Something was always stressful, no matter what it was. Anytime I got on or off that elevator, morning, noon, night, didn't matter. There was always something urgent. And that's when I really realized like the 24-hour news cycle is not healthy for us. We did not evolve to carry the weight of the literal entire world on our personal shoulders 24/7. Now, this is not to say don't be informed. Please be informed, fact check, stay up to date with what's happening in the world, be involved, vote, like be an active citizen. I'm just saying there's a balance between being a responsible active citizen of the world and being subjected to the 24-hour news cycle, because this is not healthy for us. figure out what that healthy balance is for you and walk that path instead. The next thing is I got my hands busy. Now, I'm a really creative person, and I find that if I am not having some sort of creative outlet, I feel like all that creative energy is just like jammed inside of me and makes me a little crazy. Maybe you can relate, I don't know. But I got my hands busy because it gave me less idle time to think. So for us, coincidentally, this was flipping a house. I'm not saying go buy a house and rip it apart and flip it, but just kind of happened to be what I found myself, the situation I found myself in. And in hindsight, having that creative project that kept me busy in my spare time gave me no time for ruminating, for intrusive thoughts, because I was too busy doing. I had stuff to get done. Having something that kept me busy was really, really healthy for me. The next thing, number 5, is a little bit crunchy. And I kind of added this to the list after I was thinking the other day, like really thinking, what have I done in the last 6 or 7 years that have really changed my life, that have really made a difference? And I'm hesitant to share this one because I'm probably gonna lose some of you. Sorry, my camera battery died and then my microphone battery died, so we're doing good. So I was saying that this next one is a little bit crunchy, so just bear with me. I had a lot of cavities as a kid, so I had a ton of silver fillings in my mouth. And as I got older and I did a lot more research around kind of like holistic well-being, I found a lot of interesting research about the effects of having all of that metal in your mouth and the amount of mercury that's in those fillings that's you're kind of getting like a constant stream of. So I became interested in having my fillings replaced, and I did just that. So I worked with my holistic dentist, and a couple at a time, I had my old silver mercury amalgam fillings removed and replaced with like the white porcelain, whatever material they use instead. So I think I have like 1 or 2 silver fillings left in there, but they're pretty much all gone. And the reason I did that was unrelated to anxiety, but I've noticed since then, and it's been probably 4 years now, my sort of baseline level feels so much more steady. My mental state, my physical state, like I just feel grounded and steady in a way that I didn't ever experience before, like that I don't remember through college or high school or even middle school. So that's totally anecdotal. I don't know if it's actually related, but to me, it feels like it is. So I just wanted to share that with you because that's just a little unusual, and maybe it's something you might be interested in exploring for yourself. And one more thing to mention, getting my creative energy out of my body and into something. So if you're a creative person, let me know in the comments if this kind of resonates with you. I've learned that I just always need to be making something, making a video, renovating my house, painting something, like making a Halloween costume for my kid. Like just, I need to be creating something. Otherwise, all of my creative energy just gets like tense and stuck, and it feels like this deep internal frustration, and I need to get it out. And it's different all the time. It doesn't always look the same. It doesn't have to be anything amazing or profound, but just something, like some sort of way to get my creative energy out has been so like healing, so helpful. Again, it goes back to kind of keeping my hands busy, getting that frustration, getting that extra energy out of my body, out of my mind. It's been healing. And so I hope that helps you as well. So, you know, I'm probably gonna think of 10 other things that I have done in the last few years that have really helped my anxiety. And if I do, I'll make another video about it, a follow-up one. If there's anything that you've done that you've found really healing or that you're interested in, let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you. So if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, click that bell icon so you get a notification every time I upload a new video, and I'll see you next week in my next video.